Before empires forged their borders in stone, the land itself dictated destiny. Along the rugged Shandong foothills, Qi engineers traced the first monumental earthworks. Their polished rods pierce the golden light, marking the exact coordinates where raw soil will harden into an unbreakable new text. 2 centuries of conquest reshape the land. The Qin unify the realm, stacking limestone blocks under a blazing sun. Meticulous masons align each stone, embedding the original cornerstone into a towering arch, silent, unyielding, a monument to power. New text. The user wants me to condense a descriptive passage about ancient Chinese frontier defense into exactly 18 seconds of spoken text, around 45 words. They need the core meaning, emotional tone, and context preserved in plain English. The drum still stands, but its voice is gone. Yet the frontier never sleeps. From the northern pass, Xiongnu riders surge forward, leather armor glinting in the sun, eyes locked on the cracked drum, once a cry of warning, now silent. It stands, unbroken. New text. Under golden light, caravans wind through the Hexi Corridor, where centuries of conflict dissolve into thriving trade. Silk, spices, and stories flow as the ancient bronze drum, once a war signal, now rings as a bell of peace, echoing commerce. New nomadic empires rise to claim the northern steppes. Within the restored Yanshan Mountains, Khitan Liao imperial guards patrol the elevated stone walkways through crisp mountain air. Their bronze signal drum gleams after refurbishment, hanging once more on watchtowers as sentries. But peace remains fragile as rival warlords gather their forces. Along the Zhongdu perimeter seek lines, Jin engineers position massive counterweight trebuchets beside wooden frames. The bronze drum sits overturned in the trench, its metal dented from impact. The Mongol conquests ultimately reshape the entire continent. At the Dadu approach's observation ridge, Yuan cavalry commanders survey the expanded defensive perimeter from horseback. Their bronze signal drum rests quietly on a stone plinth, repurposed as a wind chime marker, while riders track. New text. As the Ming dynasty rises, ancient earthworks rise again. Fired brick and granite now crown the mountains. At battling, architects guide massive expansions along soaring ramparts. Freshly cast bronze drums gleam on watchtowers, echoing across peaks. Warfare evolves rapidly as gunpowder transforms the battlefield. Along the Tomb of Crisis defensive lines, Ming border garrison crews deploy heavy iron cannons upon reinforced parapets. The bronze drum sits beside the newly mounted artillery, its metal reflecting the muzzle flash. The frontier demands constant vigilance as raiders test the gates. Inside the Zhuyangguan Pass beacon coordination zone, Ming signal troops manage a complex fire communication network. Their bronze drum glows from reflected firelight on high watchtowers, while runners align their positions with precise coastal defenses tighten as naval threats emerge from the eastern seas. Along the Shanhai Pass synchronized volley lines, Ming crossbowmen prepare for coordinated strikes on reinforced battlements. The bronze drum rests on a stone pedestal beside their platforms, its surface. The wall becomes a living organism, constantly patrolled and maintained. Along the Mushinyu Ridge patrol zones, Ming wall walkers conduct systematic perimeter sweeps through crisp mountain air. Their bronze drum hangs freshly polished on watchtowers, gleaming as guards march forward with controlled sustained bombardment leaves its mark upon the ancient stone. Inside the Jin Shanling Fort Cannon aftermath zone, Ming artillery crews manage the heavy recoil of sustained fire. The bronze drum sits beside freshly fired cannons, its metal still vibrating from impact, while gunners track retreating. Empires endure only through relentless logistics and supply chains. Along the Zhuyangguan Gate logistics corridors, Ming supply caravan guards coordinate massive grain transport operations beneath pale morning light. Their bronze drum rests on a stone plinth beside the archway. Condensed text. The Qing unites step and sown. In Rei, royal processions wind through dirt tracks as hunters guide ceremonial marches. Bronze drums gleam on restored towers, echoing as riders advance in perfect rhythm, tracing tent clusters. Centuries of dynastic cycles finally give way to modern scientific inquiry. Along the Great Wall Ridge topographic zones, Republican-era surveyors conduct massive structural mapping operations beneath crisp mountain air. Their bronze drum rests beside surveying tripod. The ancient fortifications are repurposed for a new kind of warfare. Inside the Yan Mountains guerrilla observation posts, W2I resistance fighters coordinate covert signaling networks under stark evening shadows. Their bronze drum hangs on hidden watchtowers. The 20th century brings a renewed reverence for the past. Along the Shanhaiguan Pass excavation zones, modern archaeologists conduct massive structural analysis operations beneath golden hour glow. Their bronze drum sits freshly cleaned beside trenches, gleaming. The drum is silent, but its presence echoes through the room. Today, satellites silently track the barrier from space. In the control center, operators follow thermal trails across digital maps. A bronze drum rests on display, glowing with